Disappointment. It finds you when you least expect it, in the silence after you've given everything, and it still wasn't enough. I used to imagine a life where I could outwork it, outrun it, that if I just tried harder, wanted it more, somehow I'd be immune. But disappointment doesn't care how hard I've worked. It's shown up in the friend who stopped calling back, the heartbreak that came sooner than I expected, the places I've left that I once called home. It's in the moments where I've realized the future I imagined isn't coming. It's inevitable. Pain is inevitable. So what do we do when everything falls apart? Where do we run when there's nowhere left to hide? If I'm honest, I don't quite know if there's one answer, but I've discovered that when I name my disappointments, they become something else. Not bitterness, resilience. The choice isn't whether we will let disappointment find us, it's who we choose to become when it does. So choose wisely. The decision is yours.
Hey friends, thanks so much for taking a part of your day to watch this short reflection. Recently, I've been wrestling with the reality of disappointment, and it seemed like a relevant topic to share with you all since disappointment is a fairly universal experience. This project specifically was instigated by Dehancer Film, who reached out to me via Instagram about 2 months ago. They sent over their plugin, which was very generous of them, but they told me to leave an honest review. So I'm not being paid to say anything about Dehancer. This film was color graded with their plugin, and during the process, I wrote down some notes that I wanted to share with you all, as well as my conclusions on how I feel about it. If you aren't a colorist or even remotely interested in Dehancer, I think this could still be very helpful for you to understand a very essential part of the filmmaking process. Now, while I've only been coloring for about 2 years now, I've used an array of coloring assets from Sam Newton's immersion LUTs to Eric Floberg's 606 LUTs to film emulation power grades such as Cineprint 16 to Cineprint 35 to now using my own film emulation power grades that I have created. This review is literally just my initial thoughts, and I won't be very technical, mainly because there are so many technical reviews and tutorials out there for Dehancer. At first glance, Dehancer is set up very similar to Adobe Lightroom, and it's a plugin, so you don't necessarily have to mess around with the node trees in DaVinci. I appreciate their attention to detail, and it's fairly easy to track with the film emulation process. Some strengths I noticed were in the halation, bloom, and grain tools. Unlike Cineprint 16 and even Cineprint 35, there is a lot of flexibility and customization that is possible with Dehancer. The grain feels significantly more natural in my opinion, and I didn't feel like the image was fragile or at risk for breaking up. There were tools that I didn't mess within this project, like Film Developer or Colorhead, but I think as I get more comfortable with the plugin, I will start experimenting more with different parts of Dehancer. To be completely honest, my color grading process for this film involved a combination of Dehancer's plugin as well as my own power grade, and actually you'll see this a lot with other colorists reviewing Dehancer. For me, this was because I'm still very partial to DaVinci's native tools. I have a very particular way of setting up my white balance, exposure, denoise, and saturation that allows me full creative freedom. And honestly, I just find it really hard to trust Dehancer completely, especially when I am so used to utilizing my own node trees. So in short, I will be using Dehancer for future projects, and I think it is a very beneficial tool for an array of filmmakers. If you are just starting out or using a software that doesn't use node trees, this could easily be integrated into your post-production process, especially if you need a quick and reliable tool for film emulation. The color grading process is rapidly changing, and I think Dehancer creates a foundation in which independent filmmakers don't need to depend on cheap LUTs or power grades from Instagram influencers. I will say though, it's not for everyone. My friend Jonathan Kim, who is well on his way to becoming a professional colorist, probably would not approve of Dehancer. Color grading is a rabbit trail, and if you don't know what each tool does, the chances of you adding too much or using the same tool twice is very high. Dehancer can't be a cop-out for you to not learn the basics of color grading, but I certainly think that if you are motivated to learn the job, Dehancer is definitely worth exploring. If you would like to see more of the technical details behind my color grading process, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll definitely consider creating a more in-depth video about color grading. 2026 is starting to shape up and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the behind the scenes, the cinematic breakdowns, and the travel documentaries that I'll be creating in the near future. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video.